Hello and welcome back. This time I want to do a React video to one of DuckDuck's videos. I love this guy. It's like a mix of uh, engineer, dev, comedian, gamer. He's amazing. Basically, does a bunch of prototypey scripts, AI stuff, and so on, and mixes that with good jokes, comedy, crazy ideas. Highly recommend to check this guy out. I want to react to one of his videos. He poses a very interesting question. If you make AI art, who actually owns it? He mostly talks about the US. I want to talk about the EU as well, just because, well, I live in the EU. So let's get into it.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Techno Tuesday, an emergency episode of Techno Tuesday, because we need to discuss AI copyrighted images. Obviously,
by the way, when I saw this, before even like watching the video, I was like, who would own it? For me, the common sense was that the person generating the image or the video or whatever with the AI owns it. I think that was the common sense. And that was the main idea while watching this video and actually thinking about it. I slightly like it's not as clear to me. But basically, I treat AI as, and like whether it's ChatGPT or like Anthropic's Claude or anything else as a tool, just like a camera. If I go out and take a picture, it's me who took the picture using the tool or the camera, so I own the copyright, right? That's not so clear with the AI.
AI has been all over the internet the past few years, and recently the AI images and videos are getting insane. And now it's getting even crazier. So this is Midjourney, which makes all these AI.
Oh yeah, and I think like you probably know as well, like Grok has the worst. Well, kind of depends how you define the worst or best filter. Meaning there are some limitations imposed on each AI to like not infringe on copywritten images, like I don't know, Batman or like Superman, whatever, right? So let's say a company owns the IP. Usually you wouldn't be allowed to generate those types of images unless you own like a license or something, right? So they agree to let you do this for a small fee. Well, small fee depends on the company, IP, and so on. But yeah, Grok. Actually, I'm not too sure what's Grok up to now. But like when Grok was released, it was a cluster F basically. You could generate anything you want, even like quote unquote copywritten stuff.
AI images. You've probably heard of it, maybe. This is DALL-E. And if you haven't heard of Sora, this is the new video generator.
This pains me. At the time of releasing this, the country I live in is not allowed to use Sora, and I'd love to. I'm like very hesitant to use a VPN to switch to a different country, because I don't know whether they will ban my account or what have you.
From OpenAI. This came out, I think, a few weeks ago, and it's really, really high quality, and it's actually even worse compared to the new stuff that YouTube is putting out, which is even higher quality. So, if you somehow haven't noticed any of this stuff happening over the last few years, AI image generation is getting really, 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 really good, and AI video generation is getting crazy good, and it's going to be insane. So, you might have seen any of this and wondered, who owns this? This person made a bird on a Buddha statue. Who owns that? Like if a person goes into Sora or Midjourney or whatever and says, make me a video with a bird on a Buddha statue, does that person get the rights? Does the AI company own it? Does the person who owned all the original, like made all the original training data own it? Does Twitch chat own it? This is actually...
The question he poses is interesting, right? So it's so unclear. Like at least when you start thinking about it, what the hell is going on? Well, do the people who generated the images that the AI was trained on own the copyright? Maybe, maybe not. Is the algorithm like made by the company owns the rights? Well, the AI basically, the company, the person prompting. It's such an interesting question.
kind of confusing. Wait, and this matters a lot. What are people going to start using AI stuff for like video games and books? This stuff is getting crazier and crazier. Who owns all this? Can you copyright it? That's what we're going to answer today. And it turns out it's actually a very interesting story. We have all these legal cases that have gotten us to this point. I think you're going to find it fascinating. Introducing my presentation that I made this morning called Can You Copyright AI Images? When you go to ChatGPT and you say, make me an image, who actually owns that? That's the question. As a reminder, when we're talking about ownership, we're talking about copyright. If you don't know what copyright is, it gives you the rights to something you made. We're mostly talking about the US here.
Yeah, basically you take a picture with your phone, with your camera, you draw something, you type out something on your keyboard, you own the copyright. Like automatically, it's not like you have to go to to the government and say, hey, copyright, I own the copyright for this, legalize it for me. Well, you can do that, but the idea is basically you own it instantly once you create something.
Here are the rules for the US. It can change a little bit, but basically, if you make anything, you automatically get copyright over it. You don't have to do anything. If I go make a painting in my garage right now, I get copyright of it. Now, you can go register it with the Copyright Office of the United States and make it all official, and you need to do that if you want to sue somebody. But
I believe the same is in the EU.
If you just make a thing, you have the rights to it automatically. These messages you're writing right now, you have the rights to them. Congratulations, chat. You actually might not because it's in Twitch. Twitch might have the rights. And it doesn't protect...
Actually, interesting. I wonder whether in Twitch's TOS there's something about like Twitch messages copyright. But how would they use them? I guess they could make a data set out of them. But would you want to make a data set out of Twitch messages? That's like a cesspit of randomness. Let's be polite and call it that.
To like an idea, you have to turn it into a tangible thing. But if you do that, you have a copyright, just straight up, automatically. And what's great about that is you have the rights to it. You have the rights to decide what it's used for and whether it's sold and it's reproduced and all that stuff, right? This is a fundamental thing about creativity and making stuff. You get copyrights of things that you make. So what I want to do is play a little game. We're going to play a game called Can You Copyright?
That's why I love Doug. Like, he turns learning about law fun. It's I want to learn that someday. Like he turns the most boring topics and turns them fun. That's a skill I want to learn.
I'm going to give you guys a series of scenarios, and we're going to see, can you even figure out whether a thing is copyrightable or not? Again, I just told you that if you make a thing, you can copyright it, straight up. So this should be easy, right? This should be very simple, straightforward question. Question number one, very chat. Easy. You propose to your girlfriend at the beach. Congratulations. You go to the beach, and you set up this beautiful landscape in the background. You get everything ready. You're putting your phone there. You and your girlfriend are there. You're gonna sit down with the ring, and then, oh, crap, somebody...
So basically you do all the prep, you do a lot of work before proposing, and then...
His dog runs over and steps on your phone, and the phone takes the picture of you and your girlfriend. Who owns the picture? Can you...
So this is actually... Like, the first thought was that dog owns the picture, in theory, but that's kind of dumb. So imagine... there would be some kind of law that says, well, actually, so maybe no one else owns it, right? So it's like the area of expertise required here is I don't own the knowledge for that, right? Definitely, it's. I just stepped into this area and tried learning about the EU and the US with Doug.
Copyright the picture? Do I get it? I mean, it's my phone, and I set up everything.
That's a good point, right? I did all the prep, I did all the work, almost all the work. I didn't press enter, I didn't press the button.
Set up everything. Do I get it? Chat made this stream, so chat owns it. Well, a lot of people guessed it. The dog gets it. Whoever creates something is the one who gets the copyright. It doesn't matter that I set up all the stuff. Right? The dog made the picture. Congratulations to the dog. You now have the copyright of my wedding photo. Ooh, except dogs can't have copyright. Turns out the Copyright Office of the US says that only humans can own copyright. So I'm sorry, Chester, you don't get to have the copyright at all. Actually, nobody gets the copyright. There's a famous case for this that you quite possibly have heard of, where there was this guy named David Slater who went to Indonesia and he talked to a bunch of monkeys and he put out cameras in a way that he like wanted to get the monkeys to take cool pictures of themselves by pulling a rope or whatever. And he got a monkey to take a selfie. And it's this amazing photo, right? This incredible photo. But the monkey took the photo. And so what happened is he took this photo and he was like, this is mine. He started licensing it to stuff. And Wikipedia started using it. Like other companies started using it for things. And he was like, no, hold on. That's my monkey photo. I took that. And they went to court over it. And the Copyright Office ruled that, no, we only do copyrights for humans. You gotta be a human to copyright. The monkey took the photo. David.
Yeah, so to me, this is not sensible. Because like his whole purpose and goal was to make the monkey take the photo, right? So he did all the work, he prepared all the things, he went to Thailand or wherever he was, and the whole work and the idea behind the work was to make the monkey take the photo, right? So personally, obviously, I'm not the judge. I don't know the law, but like commonsensically, it's like he's like a collaborator when creating this work. So to me, he should have the copyright. So this is weird to me.
Was trying to say, look, I set it all up. I did the hard work. You know, he just took it, but like I did so much here.
It kind of makes sense that only humans can well, U.S. Copyright Office rules something must be created by human to be copyrightable. What Doug said, he said that only humans can have copyright. With that, I do agree. But this U.S. copyright rules something must be created by human to be copyrightable. Even though technically he didn't press the button that took the picture, he did all the work. So personally, I think that it makes the most sense for, let's say, both monkey and the human to have the copyright. So because only humans can have the copyright, so only he should have it as a co-creator, collaborator, something like this.
And they're saying, no. It doesn't matter that you put in a lot of effort. That's the monkey's photo.
And as far as I researched, I think EU is in agreement. Only humans can have copyright over stuff.
And because it's the monkey's photo, it means it's not anybody's photo. Later, PETA sued him to try to say that the monkey should get ownership and not him. Like, actually, the monkey should get ownership. But again, the Copyright Office was like, no, PETA, no, humans can only have copyright. Monkeys can't have copyright. So, unfortunately, this monkey did not get ownership of his photo. So, this is pretty interesting, right? It establishes it's got to be a human that makes it. There's very clear precedent.
But the first thing...
great job. You did great. Let's go to question number 2. Let's say you go to a fancy museum, and there's a fancy dog painting in the museum. Wow, beautiful. This was made by Ludwig von Dog hundreds of years ago. Ludwig von Dog has been dead for like 200 years, okay? So it's in public domain. You say, that is an incredible painting. And you've been training as a classical painter. And so you paint a perfect replica of this dog painting. Absolutely perfect. And this is like, you have been training for like a decade to be able to do this, right? You make this incredible, perfect recreation of it on paint. Can you copyright your painting? What do you think?
Yeah, of course, the dogs owns it. So, can we basically look at something, take it apart in the sense that, let's say, analyze how it looks, how it works, whatever, create the replica, and claim it's copyrightable? I think the logical answer would be no, because if it's like with painting, if it's like with creations, then you would probably be able to take someone else's work, copyright it, even though it's the same ones and zeros, the same paint, the same whatever you made, and claim it as yours. Yeah, you shouldn't be able to do that, right?
The dog still owns it. The answer is no. And here's why. You need to add creativity for something to be copyrighted. You can't just like put in a lot of work. That's not enough. You have to actually have creative expression and make a new thing for the US to be like, yes, you have the copyright, you own that thing. This came from a case.
As far as I researched, this is also true in the EU.
case called Bridgman Art Library versus Corel Corp. Bridgman Art Library went to a museum, and there was a bunch of public domain photos, right? And they went there and took photographs of the paintings and made these like really beautiful photographs that were basically trying to perfectly replicate these like museum paintings. And then Corel Corp came along and they were like, oh, cool, some paintings. Again, the paintings are in the public domain because they're super old. They started using the photos of the public domain painting. Bridgman Art Library was like, hey, those are our pictures. We took those. And the court basically said, no, you just recreated this thing perfectly. That doesn't count. You have to add actual creativity. And a key part of this was basically the court saying, it doesn't matter that you guys went in there and you set up the lighting and you took a nice photo and you did all this stuff. That's not enough. You have to actually add original stuff. So again, they reinforce this idea of like, it's not enough to just put in a lot of work. That doesn't mean you own the copyright to a thing. You got to do more than that.
It's kind of like, I think he will touch on this later, but it's kind of like this video right now, right? Basically, Doug did all the work, 44 minutes of video. If I took that and just uploaded into my YouTube channel, then like, what the F, right? There needs to be some sort of a mechanism to stop from plagiarism or, yeah, claiming things as mine. Well, it's not technically what he described in this case, but in a sense it is. If I remade his video exactly somehow with AI or whatever, and it was the exact same, you wouldn't be able to tell the difference. Let's say the hash is the same for the file, but I made it somehow. Only God knows how, and I claimed it as mine. It's no.
Okay, so let's move on to question number 3, and this is a big one. You play Nintendogs for the Nintendo DS, and then you record funny commentary and editing for it. Wow, Puggies! You make an amazing YouTube video of you playing Nintendogs, and you have all these funny jokes and edits, and you put Subway Surfers in there, and you play the Vine Boom sound effect. Can you copyright it? So Nintendo owns Nintendogs. You made the video. Can you copyright it? Does Nintendo own your video? Okay, so
yeah, and this is interesting, right? This is what we talked about in the beginning. So when someone created something, and you, well, tried using it to create other content, right? So
people are saying it's because it's transformative.
Gets murky.
It's fair use. The answer is kinda. You can't copyright anything that involves Nintendogs because that's not yours. What you're making is called a derivative. You're making a product that is based on another copyrighted work.
Like this video.
You can't copyright any of the stuff that came from Nintendogs. You don't own that. It depends on how Nintendo feels that day. Kind of. But what's cool is you can copyright the parts you created. And what that means is the funny jokes that you said and the editing you did, you can copyright that portion. It just can't include Nintendogs at all. It's kind of like how we put out a video last year of my Pajama Sam playthrough, but had no Pajama Sam. That's totally legal, and I can copyright that. But you can't actually copyright all the other stuff. So if I go play Skyrim, I can copyright the expression of my Skyrim videos, but none of the actual game. And this is often considered an unpublished literary work, because without the game, there's nothing even there. But I can copyright all that stuff. Asterisk that we'll come back to later. Fair use would potentially allow you to copyright this thing.
Fair use meaning, well, if you're on YouTube, you probably know. So if you add expression and something else on top, like your creative innovation, whatever, well, I wouldn't say me commentating on Doug's video is extremely creative or anything, but that's kind of the point, right? You just don't copy one-to-one or like one to almost one, you add something on top.
But you would have to prove that, and that becomes a case-by-case sort of situation. It is very unlikely you would be able to claim fair use on a Skyrim playthrough. All right, what's everybody's score? We've done 3 questions so far. What's your score? 0 out of 3. Somebody said there's 6 out of 3. Okay.
I think when I did it, I think it was either 2 or like 2.5 out of 3, because it's kind of... I think I got the dog one. No, I think I was right, but it's not really... I would say, like, looking into the law, it's not the clearest of all. I would say not the most commonsensical, right? I think it was like 2 or 2.5. I think with the dog, I was like, well, the guy did all the work. Or sorry, with the monkey, right? The guy did all the work. He should like get some recognition for it, like a co-creator. Anyway.
Got them all right, make these harder. So let's go on to the next question. You list
Oh,
out
the
every dog in your neighborhood. That's right. You go to all your neighbors and you knock on the door and you say, hello, I'm doing a census of dogs. I'm getting a list of every dog. And you get all the dogs in the neighborhood and you put in a big list and you give it even a nice font and you put it in alphabetical order. Can you copyright your list of dogs? And why?
Obviously, this makes perfect sense. You can't copyright the list of dogs. It's basically you went around and wrote down what was there, right? I think he put it very well in a moment.
Why or why not? You got all of it. You got Mr. Snuffles. You have Dr. Snuffles. You have Mr. Snuffles MD. I'm seeing a recurring
Mr.
theme of
Snuffles.
dogs. No, that's totally coincidence. I think most people are actually figuring out the vibe of this one. As you could kind of expect, no, because you can't copyright facts.
You can't copyright
There was a
facts.
case called Feist Publications, Inc. versus Rural Telephone Service Company. So there was Rural Telephone Service Company. They made a telephone directory. For all you youngins in here, that's a thing they used to do where they would make a book of all of the people's names and addresses
the Gen
and
Zs
numbers, phone numbers, and a
don't know what
phone
the
book.
phone
So
book
this
is.
company, Rural Telephone Service, did this, right? They made a directory of telephone numbers. And hold on. If you don't think that's a big deal, they put it in alphabetical order. That's huge. And then Feist Publications,
Yeah,
fucking
so much
assholes
work
came along and
to put it
used
in
their
alphabetical
phone list without
order.
permission. And so Rural Telephone Service came in there and sued them and said, whoa, that's our list of people's names and phone numbers. And the court ruled this was like 9-0. They lost so bad. They're like, no, bro, you can't just copyright facts, okay? You can't just copyright a list of names. How? No, you can't do that. So the Supreme Court was like, no, it's got to have creative expression. And this is important. It can't just be that you did the sweat of the brow, which is something they say a lot in these court cases.
Court ruled that copyright only protects creative expression, not just facts or sweat of the brow. So, yeah, this is interesting. I will keep it in mind, right? Because imagine creating something with ChatGPT, DALL-E, whatever. So how would you define sweat of the brow? Well, creative expression / sweat of the brow, right? Me prompting for an hour, is that just sweat of the brow? Is that creative expression?
You can't just sweat a lot and then you copyright a list. You got to actually have original creative expression. But isn't the style copyrighted? You're picking up on it, right? If the style had been very creative and distinct, potentially yes. But you just made a list. Even if you put it in alphabetical order. That was these guys' argument. They're like, but we put it in alphabetical order. The Supreme Court is like, no, dude, that's not creative. What are you doing? All right, question number 5. And by the way, total coincidence that there's another dog here. You
Total
take
coincidence.
10,000 photos of your dog, and then you code an AI program from scratch that trains on all of your dog photos and then generates new dog pictures. When your AI creates the dog photos, can you copyright the dog photos?
So when I saw this, for me, you do all the work, right? You take the 10,000 photos of the dogs, of the one doggo. You code it. You code the AI that generates new dog pics. So one, you made the dataset. You created the tool to generate something new. So for me, obviously yes. So a reminder, I treat AI as a tool, basically like a phone, like a camera or anything else, like a computer, anything like a PC. For me, it's a tool. So for me, I should be able, if I do all this, I should be able to get the copyright.
See, now it's getting weird. You made all of the code. You designed the AI, and then the AI outputs dog photos.
So what's also interesting, just this question: if you make AI art, who actually owns it? And the questions he's asking, right? Just for a moment, look at the chat. Like no, yes, no. It's it's very weird that it's not clear cut. So that tells me either A, we are fairly like new to this stuff, so we haven't figured it out yet, or the way we figured it out, it's not clear. And probably it's both. It's actually both, probably.
And let's assume this is an AI that's similar to Midjourney or ChatGPT. Same type of architecture, which is important later, but I won't go into that now. Okay, some people are saying the machine made it. The AI is not a dog. Yeah, a lot of people are upset that the AI isn't the dog. The dog is the owner. The dog owns it. A lot of people saying the AI owns the dog. Most people are picking up on what the answer is going to be. You're starting to pick up the trend here, which is no. Because the dogs didn't make the picture. You didn't make the picture. You didn't actually make the picture itself. The AI made it. So,
but I know it's not Doug. I'm not getting mad at Doug. I know I didn't make the picture. AI did. But I took all the pictures, all the data set. I coded the AI, and you're telling me that the tool I made created something, and I don't own it? Like, where is the logic here?
So the AI owns the copyright to it. But it turns out that AIs, because they're not human, and we have all this established court cases to show that, can't get a copyright because it is not a human. It doesn't.
And this is weird. So in EU, we don't have the same type of law, the precedence law, I guess it is called. When somebody establishes a precedent, and then basically, if you go to court and you have an extremely similar case to a precedent that was set some time ago, you can use that precedent to win, lose, whatever. In EU, that's not the case. So yeah.
It doesn't even matter if you made the algorithm. There's this interesting case from.
Also, just spoiler alert: EU law is not the same as in the US, by the way.
This guy named Stephen Thaler and his AI that he made called Debus. And this one's really kind of fucking weird. This is like this British computer scientist. He made like 10,000 photographs around England or whatever of his own stuff. And then he coded.
Britain left EU when the Brexit happened. So Britain is no longer in EU, just a reminder.
An AI from scratch with his own images. And then he had the AI.
Well, it's technically in Europe, but it's not a part of European Union, is what I'm trying to say.
AI make images, and this is actually one of them that he tried to get copyrighted. But what was interesting is he didn't just say, okay, I want the ownership. He actually
what the hell, the creepy music, why?
Tried to get Debus, his AI, to get the ownership. He went to the copyright courts and systems and said, yeah, my AI should own this. My AI made it. He even is crazy. He even he started messing with parts of its brain essentially to make it like hallucinate more new stuff and make it dream like nightmare type things, and basically came up with this. But he was encouraging the AI to make things in a certain way. So he went to the copyright office and he said, I think the AI should own this. Kind of like what PETA did with the monkey.
The AI should own this. If we allowed non-humans, maybe. But then the monkey would be able to get the copyright for that example he mentioned it before. But yeah, this is an interesting question.
And the court was like, no, it's not a human. It's not a human. It can't own copyright. And they basically said,
I wonder if we have to go back actually on this law and adjust the definition of who and what can have copyright. I wonder. Would it be to the benefit of everybody? Because, yeah, just generating something with ChatGPT, I would imagine I own the copyright, but as we are learning, apparently not. But based on the law, but it kind of makes sense because, well, maybe not I made something, but I working hours and hours with the sweat of the brow and adjusting the prompt and like guiding the AI, I made something, right? Why wouldn't I be able to own the copyright?
Said, look, right now we have these rules established. This would require fundamental changes. If we're going to start letting machines own copyright, that's like a completely different system than what we have as our current copyright system, right? And the guy doesn't own it either because the AI made it. So now this leads us to our final question, which you can probably guess at this point. The question is, if you go to ChatGPT right now, or you go to Midjourney right now, or you go to Google's AI right now, or any of the AI systems, and you ask it to make a dog picture, and even ChatGPT doesn't even have the rights to all of the images that it trained on, right? That's a whole other thing we're going to get into. Can you copyright your shitty dog image?
Based on everything he said so far, at least in the US, the answer would be no.
Made this morning on ChatGPT. Can I copyright it? And pretty much all of you are understanding it. No, I can't, because The AI made the thing, not me. And that means an AI image.
And this is the part that's kind of pissing me. Not Doug, obviously. I love Doug. The US law. So you spend time and effort and hours into prompting, creating something, thinking about what you want to make, and you don't own it. So it's like,
Can't be copyrighted by anybody. It can't be copyrighted by the people who did the original training images. It can't be copyrighted by OpenAI who made it, and it can't be copyrighted by you. This is really fucking weird, right? This is strange. People are making all this stuff and nobody actually owns the rights to it. It gets even weirder because, like, you know how everybody's starting to make AI stuff and post all these images on the internet? They can't even copyright them. Nobody can own any of this stuff right now. So what I would consider the landmark case that shows this is this one called Zarya of the Dawn.
Oh yeah, this is interesting.
The past few years, this has been going on. You might have heard about this. There's this person named Christina Kashtanova who made a comic book using AI art. She made a full comic book where she wrote all the text and she set it all up, but the images all came from Midjourney. She sent it off for copyright. She said, hey, US Copyright Office, I want this officially registered as my thing. I made it. And it's successful. US Copyright Office is like, yep, cool, you got it. But then, she went and bragged about it on social media.
And that's kind of dumb, right? I actually, when I asked a friend of mine, who owns the copyright to an image that's generated by AI, and I claim I made it. If if there is no way to prove that something was AI generated, then how would the Copyright Office know, right? How would anyone know?
And that was
there are some exceptions to that, which we'll probably talk about later.
Really bad idea, because then everybody was like, wait, what the fuck? You copyrighted an AI generated book? That's not cool. And so they started telling the Copyright Office about it, and the Copyright Office came back and was like, no, hold on, no. And they actually revoked the copyright, and they said only the non-AI parts can be copyrighted. They did the Nintendogs thing, and they said, look, the images, that's not you. You didn't do it, sorry. But everything else you got. The text and the arrangement is, you got that. So there's an important point here as we get into this. How does a system like Midjourney actually work? How does it make images? Well, the way these things work, I'm not going to get super detailed into it. This one uses Stable Diffusion. Various companies are using different algorithms for generating images. But the core idea is that you get an AI that's trained on a shit ton of images, millions or billions of images, usually billions. What it's doing during that training is basically learning the general patterns that humans look for when they say certain text and it's associated with certain images. The next step, after having looked at all these training things, is you start the AI generation process by giving it just a blank slate of noise, like static. Unlike what some people think, when you ask an AI to make an image of, I don't know what this is, of an orange, it doesn't start with a picture of an orange. It doesn't go look at all the other pictures of oranges that it was trained on. Instead, it starts with literally a bunch of static, and then it slowly tries to remove the static, called the noise, to get closer and closer to an orange. It doesn't even know what it's going towards. It's just like, I think if I make this a little less staticky, it'll get closer to an orange. And it does that over and over and over and over and over and over. Unlike what you might think, an AI image generator isn't just looking at everybody else's images and like cramming them together and stealing them. It genuinely starts with a blank slate and it goes, okay, like this type of painting, I think it'd kind of look like this. It does add a...
What he kind of is trying to say here, it's not like if I go to a certain artist, right? I grab all of his images, and let's assume an artist A made 1 billion images, and I trained my... What he's trying to say is that basically the AI won't just copy some image from the data and then tweak it. He's saying that it starts basically from scratch, right? From random noise, and will try to purge the noise and like clear the noise, and the output will be similar to the style of the images, but it's basically not just like copy pasting and like tweaking, right? Or like searching from the database of the 1 billion images of the artist something similar and tweaking it to fit the prompt, right? It's not like that.
little bit, it removes a little bit of the static, and then it does a little bit more. And slowly, this thing that starts as just like gray slowly emerges into this fully complete finalized thing. And that's how you get all of these crazy ass images. It's actually weirdly similar to how we make creative things. And you can say, oh, like it's still unethical of how it was trained or whatnot, but the training isn't that it learns to copy certain things, it learns patterns of how to create. And the reason that's important is because you are not directly controlling what it creates. Asterisk, asterisk. I'm oversimplifying things a little bit for people who really know the details of this stuff. But when you tell it, hey, make me an image of an orange, it's not going to be the same every time. They're always going to be different because it's always starting with a new canvas and it works that canvas towards an orange in a different way every time. So in this copyright case, this is...
Yeah, so also his point is that because the artist had a vision for the images, basically the artist guided the model to create something that the artist wanted, right? It's not just simple poof and we steal one image from the data set, adjusted a bit, and that's it, right?
This is critically important to how this happened. This woman made this AI generated comic book, right? And the Copyright Office again was like, look, the arrangement of the images, the text, the stuff that you did, that's on you. You got that, you can have it. It's an unpublished literary work, which is very funny because now she has the ownership of an unpublished work that she can't publish because she doesn't have the images. That's hilarious. Yeah. So they're basically like, look.
Basically, she can't publish it because she doesn't own the copyright to the images, right?
There's a clear distinction here. The parts that you did as a human, you're good, all right? You got that. You can have an unpublished work. But the images that were made by Midjourney weren't made by a human. And so she came back, the creator, and said, well, hold on. And here's where it gets kind of weird, right? She came back and said, wait a minute. I didn't just go on the internet and like Google this picture and steal it. I told the AI what I wanted. I want it to look like this and I want it to have this style. And then after it made the first version, I told the AI, I want these iterations. I went through hundreds or thousands of iterations until it got to the version that I liked. I basically creatively directed this thing. I put in a ton of creativity to it. Yes, Midjourney was making the images, but I was guiding it and giving it all the feedback. I put in a ton of creativity. That's kind of legit, right? It's like, okay, yeah, that's fair. That is genuine creativity. You might not like it. Maybe you say Midjourney did more, but like that is genuine work that she's putting into it. But the Copyright Office basically says, no, that's like you hired an artist. That's like you went out and you hired a person to make you art. You told them what you wanted, but the artist owns it. This is
so I kind of get it. The artist owns it, but I don't treat. Maybe it's because of the way I think, but I don't treat AI as the artist. I treat it as a tool. So to me, they are collaborating. Basically.
How it actually works in real life. If you go and hire an artist to make you something, they own it, not you. It doesn't matter if you go to some artist on Twitter and say, make me furry porn art of Doug who's bald. They have the ownership. Doesn't matter if you pay them. It doesn't matter if you told them directions and then you spent hundreds of hours telling them how to make me more bald. It doesn't matter. They own it. The only case where they don't is if there's a contract written that specifies that you get the ownership. So this is really important. The actual creator of a thing, the person who goes through the fundamental creative process, they own the copyright by default. And in this case, they're saying, look, Midjourney did this.
Why are they thinking that the AI is
not you? Midjourney actually made
it's an algorithm.
Images in the painting here, even if you guided it, it doesn't matter. And so this court case is actually fascinating. It's so good. And this actually, if you're interested at all, here's the link. This is the response from the US Copyright Office. I'm like, wow, this is really thoughtful. They really understand what is actually going on in terms of the tech of this AI. They actually list out, this is how Midjourney works. When you ask Midjourney for a prompt, it generates 4 different images and they're all different. And it's relevant here that by its own description, Midjourney does not interpret prompts as specific instructions to create a specific.
Midjourney does not interpret prompts as specific instructions to create a particular expressive results. Because Midjourney does not understand grammar, sentence structure, or words like humans, it instead converts words and phrases into smaller pieces called tokens. They can and then used to generate an image.
Result. So they make an important point here. When you go to one of these image generators, it's not like Photoshop, which is a tool where when you do something in Photoshop, you get the same result every time. You're telling it, hey, I want this general thing, and then it creates the general vibe, but it's not
I guess that can be a distinction, but what about LLMs then, right? In theory, they don't understand the meaning of words either. They are just predicting. This is like very murky shit.
A tool that one-to-one matches with what you want to do. So the fact that you can't recreate this image, Midjourney will never perfectly recreate that. It will be different every time. Because of that, it's
Well, I kind of, you can make the point that a human will never be able to reproduce the same like image twice, right? Or yeah, this is interesting stuff.
It's not just a tool, and therefore it is actually the one being creative. The Copyright Office really dove into this and seems to genuinely understand what's going on. And so it's really fascinating. It's like if these AI systems were just copying and pasting things, this would be a little clearer, right? It's just.
But what happens if you, let's say, pay for a subscription to a model, right? So if they make a case that it's like a collaboration with some artist, right? When do you subscribe to ChatGPT Pro or whatever that's called? Isn't that like a contract? And I believe in TOS, ChatGPT, or sorry, not ChatGPT, OpenAI states that all the copyrights are going to the users. So wouldn't that be the same case that as if you made a contract with an artist or a creator or whatever, and you pay, they deliver?
Just like so you're using AI, but instead the AIs are being creative enough that they actually are the creator, which is very strange. HDRock, it's Techno Tuesday. So this is really fascinating, and it leads me to my next section called What's up, Beijing? No, this case with the Copyright Office and Zarya of the Dawn, this was like a year ago. This is recent. I think this is the most relevant and clear example of the current standard for AI stuff, which is.
But in US, because I think where is it? Okay, so there is a case in EU. Also, just to say, EU has a bunch of different laws for, well, in general than US, obviously, right? But especially for AI, and I think because it's not a precedent law. It's not like one court case will fix the law in place unless it's somehow like the precedent is overruled. But there was a case in Czech where a guy or a gal, actually, I don't know who, a human basically prompted AI to create him an image of two hands. I believe like holding hands or like shaking hands to as if they are completing a deal, right? Only the hands with like with the table and stuff. And someone started using that image as if it were as if it were theirs. Basically, someone started using that image, and the person that prompted /generated /helped generated the image sued them. So this is fairly new, fairly recent. But it's kind of interesting. The judgment on AI copyright dispute. Despite its claim, there was no actual evidence that the plaintiff has instructed AI, and since it was undisputed that the image was created by AI, the court dismissed the argument. The argument was, the image that shows two hands signing a business contract has been created by plaintiff uses AI based on the instruction to create a visual representation of two parties signing a business agreement in a formal environment. AI is not a natural person. It cannot be the creator of work under European copyright law. As the AI had created the image in question based on specific instructions, the prompting, some work, the plaintiff argued that they were the creator of the image. So to me, this makes sense. But yeah, despite this claim, there was no actual evidence that the plaintiff had instructed AI, and since it was undisputed that the image was created by AI, the court dismissed the argument. The court added, this is interesting, that the AI-generated work did not constitute work at all in this case, since it did not meet the conceptual characteristics. It was not considered as a unique result of the creative activity of a natural person, the creator. But not sure if it's in this article, but in general, the ruling the court gave made it possible to interpret it as if the human had provided enough evidence for a lot of work and a lot of creative invention, they could have ruled otherwise, which is different in US, right? In US, it's just straight up AI owns it, so nobody owns it. So this is different. Let's go back to Doug.
Which is basically, if you use AI generated things, sure, go for it. But you can only copyright the pieces you originally create. Now, maybe you guys don't care about this. I think this is fascinating. This is so fucking interesting and weird. And by the way, in this case, right, that they did, they listed all of those previous cases that I was mentioning. All that stuff we were talking about earlier of like, oh, it has to be a human. Oh, it can't just be facts. There has to be a certain amount of human involvement. All of these are building up towards this very strange new world that we're in, which is these AI systems that are like genuinely making original things all the time. So what do the AI companies think? The companies who are making these AI and spending all this money doing it, are they trying to take ownership of it? What's their deal? What are they doing? All right, let's find out. So they're actually chill AF, FR. ChatGPT and Midjourney, they're like, hey, you own it. It's not us.
Yeah, you
Hands
make,
up.
do you
it's
make
all
it?
You, buddy. So, for example, in the OpenAI terms of service, it says, as between, no, we need the fancy music. As between you and OpenAI, and to the extent permitted by applicable law, you, A, retain all ownership rights and input, and B, own all output. We hereby assign you our right, title, and interest, if any, in and to output. So they don't claim it, right? They're like, hey, it's all you. But again, that doesn't mean you have it. They're saying like, hey, to the extent of the law, you can have it. But the extent of the law doesn't let me have it. So from their perspective, they're not trying to claim it.
They are giving you the copyright, but they don't own it in the first place.
They're going to make money by charging you to generate the thing, but they're not going to try to take the thing itself. And again, to be
they don't own it per US law, right?
Clear, they don't have the rights. When they say, hey, you can have all the rights, they're not giving you anything that they own. They don't own it. The AI owns it, which means it doesn't own it because it's not a human. So they're giving you a thing that they can't give you that you can't have.
So basically, they are not giving you anything.
ChatGPT, very cool. But so, okay, we're forgetting somebody here. There's somebody in this whole equation that we haven't talked about yet.
The artists?
Who is it? Can anybody think of them? They're fairly important to this whole process. It's not Xi Jinping. It's
the data creators.
Jesus Christ. No, it's not quite. Oh, somebody said it. It's the original artists. What about the people who actually made all the art that the AI is trained on? Because, yeah, actually, we haven't really talked about this yet. Turns out when you go to a ChatGPT image, ChatGPT was trained on billions of other people's images that they did not ask for permission for. So that's cool. None of the artists, gave them permission. What about them? Let's go back to my shitty bell pepper. This was created by an AI. I would argue there is genuine creative process in how the AI functions, like on a deep technical level. That's a more philosophical argument. But objectively, the AI was trained on a whole bunch of images that it didn't own in order to be able to learn how to make dogs that are wearing bell peppers. Billions of images. And then it was able to create this. So, do the people who made all the photos and images and pictures that trained the AI get anything? No, they don't. Sorry, artists, you're fucked. However, there's a possibility that things could change because...
Oh, yeah. When he's talking about companies that want to train AIs on data, they need a shit ton of data. And we are running out of they are running out of data fast. I work for a company that's, collecting data from the internet, let's say. And let me tell you, those companies such as NVIDIA, OpenAI, Anthropic, and so on, actually, I'm just generalizing, not saying if those are our customers or not. I'm just observing how much data companies want. It's insane. Insane.
New York Times sued OpenAI. OpenAI, who makes ChatGPT, trained ChatGPT off of a shitload of New York Times articles. And so the New York Times came in and they said, whoa, copyright infringement.
Basically, if you've put anything on the internet, on Reddit, a YouTube comment, probably also YouTube comments, anything, any blogs, everything scraped, and I can guarantee that ChatGPT or some other LLM or AI was taught on your comments, datas, and videos.
You're taking all of our articles and our news that we made and you trained your AI with it, and that's not fair. Those all are copyrighted stuff. You can't just take it. They also said, and this is pretty important, that ChatGPT is actually serving as a market replacement. And I'll explain what this means in a second. They're saying, look, instead of having to go to our site, New York Times, and pay us money to read our articles that we work on, now they're just using ChatGPT to get a summary. ChatGPT.
So basically, New York Times is mad that ChatGPT can summarize the articles they made, and basically people don't. Well, they are mad because they lose money. Essentially, that
can replace our work. So it's like harming our business. It's not just you took it from us without permission. It's that you're also using it to take business from us in the future. And they say, hey, you should have to pay us. You should have to do something. Rebel. We do have to take a quick break and talk about fair use. Do I have like a funny like Renaissance fair song? I thought this was a very hilarious joke that I searched for fair and put this picture in. Real quick aside, what the fuck is fair use? In general, if somebody makes a thing, they have the copyright for it. But with fair use, the idea is like, let's say you've made a cool piece of artwork, you made a painting or whatever. Let's say you made this painting. This is your painting. And I come along. Fair use could potentially let me use your stuff without...
Coming back to getting all of the data from the internet, I actually wonder if this video will also be part of some data. Or some data set, I guess. Learning that
permission in my copyrighted material. Now, generally, this is meant to be for education, commentary, innovation. The idea is like, I'm creating something that is particularly unique or educational, and it requires me to use some of what you made in order to make my thing.
This video requires me to use Doug's presentation and Doug's video to make my thing. Thanks, Doug.
And now this is case by case. You can't just go...
Actually, thanks, Doug. This was... when I saw this video and the question, I had a slight, like... brain fart. I was like, who owns the copyright?
Around using anybody's stuff, you have to go like individually prove that you are allowed to do this. It depends on market replacement. It depends on like, is what I'm making going to replace your ability to sell and use this in the future? If so, that's not really fair use.
Let's be fair. Doug is not worried about market replacement when I make this video.
The amount of it used. If I use this entire picture, do I get fair use? It's less likely. The transformation amount. Let's say I go into this and I draw googly eyes on everybody's eyeballs. I've transformed it. I've made it into a new thing, but is that enough? Maybe. There isn't a clear-cut, this is fair use or not. There's various factors that you have to consider. Some of the photos in this document are copyrighted, and I would argue I can use them for fair use because they are necessary to make a point about fair use and copyright. So again, it's a case-by-case thing that you have to sort out, and it's not some clean, easy thing where you just get to steal whatever you want. A lot of creators on the internet...
Oh, I wish we could... we should be able to steal... Oh, obviously I don't.
Seem to think fair use means you can steal anything you want. Yeah, it's not. Yeah, that's a good point. It's not a right. You don't have a right to fair use. This is like a legal defense that like maybe you won't get in trouble. So that's what fair use is. The idea is it protects you if you use other people's stuff in very specific cases.
But in general, it doesn't really instantly go to legislation and like to court, right? In an ideal, well, in an average scenario, let's say, if Doug would want me to take down my video, he would reach out either directly or through YouTube and ask me to take down the video because he thinks he has the copyright. Well, he obviously has the copyright on his video, and I used his video to make my video. Yeah, so it's not like he goes to the court and then we battle it out because he's angry and I use fair use so to defend myself. It's not immediately like, judge, hey, this is bad. He stole my video. Okay, guilty. Go to jail. Yeah. So it's yeah.
Now, as a reminder, what we were talking about is that New York Times sued OpenAI. And OpenAI's response, they're like, hold on, bro, is the news even copyrightable? Isn't it just facts?
This
Remember
is pretty
how earlier we talked about
argument.
the phone book? That's their first thing they're doing. They're like, you're just talking about the news. That's
Can they invoke the right to let's say that they input enough human invention, expression, and sweat of the brow to make it not only a fact but actually something more?
It's not creativity. And then New York Times came back and were like, yes, it is. We work really, really hard on our news. And then New York Times is like, but you know, do you really? You're just saying facts. Here's the legal precedent for that. And they came back and they're like, we have so much stuff that we do. We work really hard. And then OpenAI was like, okay, show us. Prove it. So OpenAI's lawyers have asked New York Times to provide all of the documents and research and notes from all of the editors for all of their articles to prove that this is actually creative and not just facts. And
let's be honest. If New York Times provided that, OpenAI would just make another model that would just ChatGPT dash New York Times reporter, or well, let's skip the New York Times. ChatGPT reporter or something, right? It would basically train another model to be a proficient reporter with all the notes, with all the everything, breakdown analysis.
New York Times has been like, we can't fucking do it.
It would be actually hilarious if they did that, but it's yeah, it's just probably a lawyer tactic to stall and maybe show that they don't want to cooperate or something.
That's so much work. We're not gonna go and fucking get all of the notes from all of our articles forever, but it's kind of interesting, right? That whole thing about the phone book sets this really interesting precedent. You can't copyright facts. So is your news copyrightable? The only way it's copyrightable is if you prove that you're being really creative with it. But then that kind of goes against a lot of New York Times, which is their whole thing is like, we tell you the news like it is. Very strange thing that's going back and forth there, right?
So
these cases are currently going on, by the way. So then the argument is that the facts aren't copyrightable, then our AI should be able to go learn all the facts and then create new facts, right? Our AI should be able to learn them. You don't get to own the facts. So it's very interesting. And the second bigger argument is this is fair use. We're transforming it. When somebody uses ChatGPT, they're not just getting a copy of a New York Times article. They're not. ChatGPT is summarizing it or giving new information or presenting it in whatever way the user asks for. And I think there's legitimate argument to this. I think both sides have legit argument here. This is currently in court. The result of this is going to be a huge factor on whether fair use can be claimed by AI companies.
Let's be honest, I'm no judge. How would I rule this? Like both arguments are somewhat sound. That one, OpenAI claims that they can't copyright facts, and they say it's not just facts. That's it's kind of hard to tell what should be the reasonable outcome. Some sort of a deal or something because they use their data. But people smarter than me need to figure this out and make it clear for all of us. Well, at least in EU that will happen, or sorry, not EU, US. In EU we always like overcomplicate stuff and shoot ourselves in the foot, basically. So yeah.
A lot of what people are upset about with AI art is the fact that these companies are mostly making these things from images and videos that they don't have the rights to. Not all of them, but most of them. And so the question is, what happens if they
all the publicly available videos on the internet
can't claim fair use? The only real argument they have is like, hey, it's fair use, right? Yeah, we are able to use all this.
Because it's actually interesting, right? You get the publicly available videos, you are using them to teach your model, right? It's not like you're stealing something and like copying it one-to-one. You're teaching something to make something else, so it's transformative, right?
This stuff, and we don't need to give you permission because we're dramatically transforming it, right? It's in the same way that if I go watch 1,000 YouTube videos and then I go make my own YouTube video, I don't owe the 1,000 YouTube videos I watched anything. That was inspiration that taught me how to be a better creator and gave me ideas for the future. As much as people like to hate on AI, it's not this cut and dry thing. The process of training these AIs is eerily similar to how we as humans learn to have new creative ideas and express them. I'm not saying it is creative. I'm saying it is weirdly close to what we as humans do. Not the same, but weirdly close. There's nuance here, and we'll get into this more later. This court case is going to be massively impactful on whether the AI companies can keep just taking everybody's data without permission. There's another court case that's pretty big. I forgot to change the thing. It's from Getty Images versus Stability AI. Getty Images, if you're not aware, they own the copyright of like tons and tons and tons of photos. That's their thing, right? Whenever you see people at the red carpet, a bunch of of celebrities that it says Getty Images at the bottom right. So Getty Images has millions of photographs that they take and they license them. You have to pay to use them. And Stability AI made Stable Diffusion. Stable Diffusion is the, let's say, algorithm. It's the model that can create images. Midjourney, which is one of the most popular AI image generators, runs on Stable Diffusion, partially, but there's a bunch of AI companies that use this core technology. And so their image generator was absolutely trained on Getty Images. And so Getty Images says, whoa, 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 you used all your images to make your AI. That's not fair. That's copyright infringement. What's even funnier with this is Stable Diffusion will actually make original AI images that have the Getty Images watermark in them. It's not just that you...
Obviously, it's not like copy-pasted watermark, but you can clearly understand that the Getty images were used as part of the data set.
Took all of our stuff. It's also making images that have our watermark.
And if they got sued, they probably didn't pay them, right?
Clearly, you're just recreating our stuff. So they're using that as an argument to be like, this is market replacement. You're just like outputting our stuff. So I think it's easy to kind of...
Yeah, and probably they didn't get paid, right, for the
be like,
images.
You get them, Getty Images. Go
this kind of makes sense.
Little guy, go fight for the artist. Yeah,
but they are not
definitely.
What's
funny is Getty just wants to be paid. So in their official press release, they're like, this week Getty Images commenced legal.
Let's be honest. The company is fighting for the company. Most are okay. Let's not generalize, because obviously there are outliers, like Anthropic. Anthropic wants to better all of the AI. At least that's what it appears to be doing. But in general, companies just more profits.
Proceedings in the High Court of Justice in London against Stability AI. They basically say, hey, you took our images and processed them, and now you're hurting content creators. And then they say, Getty Images believes artificial intelligence has the potential to stimulate creative endeavors. Additionally, Getty Images provided licenses to leading technology innovators. Stability AI did not seek any such license from us, and we believe should have pursued licensing. Getty Images is basically just like, you should pay us, which... You know,
it makes sense.
It's
let's
funny
be honest,
because it's not like Getty Images is going to go give that back to the creators.
It's
take it for themselves probably. But Getty just straight up is like, we're doing this for the content creators, so we should get a lot of money. And it's like, okay. Stability's response, their core thing is, it's transformative. This is original. They're saying the fair use argument. They're like, look, when we make a picture of an astronaut on a horse on the moon, that's an original creation. Now, again, part of the argument of Getty Images is like, you're putting things that have our watermark in them. And then they have a genius response to this. They say, check this out. If users recreate copyrighted
it's not
stuff,
them.
that's on them. That's not us. It's brilliant, right? They're just like, if somebody goes in and says, make me an image with a Getty watermark, they did that. That's on them. Because when you use one of these services, you have to sign the terms of service. And you have to say, I'm not going to recreate copyrighted things. And then if some guy goes and does that, that's on them. It's like if you upload porn to YouTube, YouTube's like, look, that's not on us. We'll do our best to take it down if you let us know, but they made that. It's not on us. This is currently in court. Who knows? It's interesting. Both sides have legit points. I think Getty is probably a little more legit in this case. The fact that the thing is making just putting Getty watermarks in the video in the images is not a good
that's
look,
nuts. But if Getty wants to be paid, what about all the actual like small artists, right? Not the big Getty company.
Who knows? Maybe they'll win. So this is another really big court case going on that is about images specifically that will probably have a major impact on whether fair use kind of becomes a big deal. So whether or not those cases play out will probably dictate whether these companies have to pay the content creators in order to use all their data to train. But regardless, data creators, you don't get copyright.
So this is actually interesting. In US, regardless, data creators don't get copyright such, right? So that's in the US. In EU, okay. So in EU, it's still not that clear, but it's a bit different. That's probably why there are not many companies, AI companies in EU. Because in general, in EU, as far as I understood from the EU AI Act, companies need to basically have let's say a document, something that explains the data sets, that explains what was used, how, well, maybe not the company secrets, obviously, right? But how the algorithm works, how it processes the data, so on and so forth. And the data set needs to be outlined with like what's in it, because they want original artists to get copyright, as far as I understood correctly. Yeah, the AI Act does not directly address copyright issues, but it contains provisions that imply concern for copyright in the data sets used to train AI systems, as well as potential issues related to copyright for freedom and freedom of expression in outputs. The AI preamble of the Act explains that its purpose is to promote the uptake of human-centric and trustworthy artificial intelligence, while ensuring a high level of protection, health, safety, fundamental rights, and to support innovation, of course. The Act relies on transparency mechanism to promote the aim of trustworthiness, requiring the developers of certain AI systems draw up and make publicly available a sufficiently detailed summary of content used for training general-purpose model to facilitate parties with legitimate interests, including copyright holders, to exercise and enforce their rights under union law. So it's slightly different in the EU. The transparency requirements should be met as follows. Draw up and keep up-to-date technical documentation about the model's training. This should include, among others, its purpose, computational power it consumes, and details about the data used in training. I guess this is probably environmental concern. Draw up and keep up-to-date technical documentation for providers adopting the model. The documentation should enable providers to comprehend the model's limitations while respecting trade secrets and other intellectual property rights. It can encompass a range of technical data, including the model's interaction with hardware and software not included in the model itself. This doesn't really speak about copyright. Okay, that's fine. Put in place a policy to respect union copyright law, in particular to identify respect, including thorough state-of-the-art technologies, the reservations of right expressed pursuant the article of some directive. Draw up and make publicly available a sufficiently detailed summary about the content used for training of the GPAI model according to a template provided by the AI office. Yeah, so as you can see, in EU it's slightly different, right? They have a bit more responsibilities. Actually, I wonder if this somewhat aligns with what Anthropic wants. Because as far as I know, Anthropic wants a general AI safety and to push the AI to be of benefit to humanity, not basically to destroy humanity. Obviously, I'm exaggerating, right, with the destroy the humanity, but they want to streamline I would assume, the regulations and legislation of law just to protect humans from AI and like AI-related risks, concerns, and stuff.
Badge. Sorry, doesn't matter if you made a bunch of paintings that some AI company took. You don't get to own it. And this gets back to the thing of the AI.
Remember, that's US.
You made stuff. The AI company.
But how does it work if I'm in Europe and I use ChatGPT to create something? Am I under the EU law, US law? I'm using a thing made by a company in United States. However, I am in European Union. I would assume it's EU law? Question mark?
Used your stuff to make an AI. The AI made something new. The AI made the thing, not you.
I think it's EU law, right? Because in order for them to even operate in Europe, they need to abide by like EU law. So I would imagine EU law.
It doesn't matter that you're at the beginning of the chain. You're not part of the end result. And if you say
the case would be ruled in EU court, so EU law. Yeah.
That's rigged and that's a scam. Yeah, that's seriously flawed in major ways.
Probably.
However, you could also argue, again, if some genuine artist, a painter, goes to a museum and looks at all these incredible pieces of art and is inspired and then goes and makes new things, the paintings he looked at, those owners shouldn't own his new stuff, right? Humans all iterate creatively. That's how we work. It's not like any person who inspires anybody should get ownership of what they made. That doesn't really make sense. But we're wrapping up. So, ultimately, data is really important here. This is another big topic I might talk about in the future. Even in the context of what we're talking about, of basically all these AI companies have been taking data and using it without permission. They're running out of data. A lot of what companies are trying to do right now is figure out how to make their systems better without requiring a shitload more data. That could include synthetic data, meaning that they use AIs to make stuff to train their AIs, which gets into a weird cycle and has various concerns. Or they just get smarter with training. And maybe they figure out how to make AI smarter with less data. There's theories by, for example, Andrej Karpathy, I don't know how to say his name, that the future is not going to be about getting even more data. The future is going to be about getting a really small amount of really, really high quality data. His theory is that
Oh yeah, the data from the internet sucks. It's basically, the idea is the quality of the data is extremely important, in the sense that you don't just want to randomly pump text into text from Reddit or Twitter or anywhere into your model, right? It needs to kind of make sense, not just random BS from the internet, because then the model would probably get dumber and dumber.
it's better to have 1,000 essays that really represent human thought and intelligence, more so than having all of Twitter. And even if Twitter has billions of instances of people being dumbasses, maybe the 1,000 paragraphs could actually teach an AI to be smarter, right? And we don't know yet. So far, more data has made things smarter. That is currently how it has worked. But we're getting to a point where the companies are running out of data. Even with these lawsuits coming, like New York Times isn't making enough data to make our AIs smarter. We've kind of like
scraping a lot
everything that we had created up until this point, and now the companies are kind of sitting around being like, what do we do now? It's also one of the reasons why YouTube is at an insane competitive advantage, in my opinion, because they have an absolutely gargantuan amount of data to work from, and every single day there's like a fucking trillion new videos that go.
That's true what he's saying, but I would imagine how big of an advantage this is. Because it's possible to scrape all the videos from YouTube and all the transcripts and the comments and so on. So they own it. They don't have to get it. Maybe they have some system to already categorize it and like create a flawless data set or near flawless data set out of it. But in general, all the companies can scrape them too, as long as they are public, right?
On YouTube. So they are crazy advantage. So, in summary, what we have learned today is, say it with me, chat. It is, no one owns anything.
No, in the US, remember, EU is the weird one. Well, actually, is it the weird one? I think maybe the opposite. To me, US might be the weird one, right? In the EU, if as we discussed in the Czech case, the court made an implication that if the person suing the company that used this image, if the person made enough of an effort and like proved that the effort was made and the creative exploration was made, then the person could have gotten the copyright. So.
With AI-generated images, the original content data creators don't own it. The AI companies don't own it. The person who prompts it doesn't own it. The AI owns it. Who doesn't own it?
But the little creators that
all right, so that's a whole lot of stuff. I think this is fascinating. And
being
right
used,
now,
they're getting screwed.
Like genuinely, the summary of all this is like we don't know. And there's going to be more court cases and stuff. There's going to be lots of legal stuff happening. This is all very new, complex, strange, weird. I want to give my quick thoughts. I think the fair use cases are going to be massively important. Like I just said, the economics of AI is going to change a lot if, for example, OpenAI has to go pay New York Times. And I think creators should be compensated for data. Right now, the AIs are basically going around the internet and just taking all the stuff they can find,
it's a free-for-all.
And nobody gets compensated.
It's a free-for-all. You don't even know that your data was used to teach an AI. That's kind of how that would be even possible to track.
Do think in the future it will be the case that, for example, I can create a YouTube video or create something original, and I can tell companies, I'm willing to give you this as training data, and in return I should get compensation. I think that's the world we're going to move to, and there's several other AI tech leaders
you won't even know.
It's like that. Obviously, a lot of companies don't want to do that. They would love to stay in the world where they don't have to compensate anybody, but I do think this will be the case. And so for people who are worried about the future where AI creates all the art and artists don't have jobs, I think creating data for the AIs to train on will actually be a new source of revenue. You will be able to.
But will it? And for how long, right? In theory, if let's say in theory, right? The AI is as good as, or close to, or as good as the best creators. It will at some point plateau, right? And if it's as good as other creators, why would you need input from the human, the creator, to make something for it if it can make it like if it can make it themselves? But then it's like a plateau, right? It will, at some point it will stop improving, basically.
If you make online art, you'll be able to make the art and sell
And
it.
what do we consider improvement, right? Just a general upgrade? How is that even measured when it comes to LLMs or generative AI?
And do whatever you want with it, but also make additional revenue by saying, yeah, you can go train AIs on this, that's fine. And that, I think, should be your decision. The fair use cases might mean that you don't get to decide, and I'm not really a big fan of that world, but I think we're gonna move towards this, and I think that is good. I don't, you shouldn't make like a ton of money, probably,
it's
but you should make
scammy,
some. I don't think the AI company should just be able to like take all your stuff with no compensation.
But it's like
this is a hot, spicy take that will probably change in the future.
It's kind of not against the law because it's like out in public on the internet. But it's not also not ethical.
I think that the ownership should actually lie with the AI company. The AI company, like OpenAI. You have 4 parties here, right? You have the people who make the original data, then you have the company that trains an AI, and then you have the AI itself, and then you have the person who asked the AI to make it.
So what he's saying, it should lie with the AI company. I'm not sure if I agree with that necessarily. So like the new data that, or the new image that the AI will make, right? The old let's say the person that created the data set, or the data set, it didn't create the data set. The data set was created based on somebody's creations, right? That creator should be compensated, but he shouldn't own she shouldn't own the copyright, in my opinion. Then there is the AI company. They created the tool. At least I understand AI as a tool. Then there is the tool itself, and then there is you. So it can't be the AI. It can't be. Whoops. It cannot be the original creator of the data, of the images. It cannot be the AI itself, the algorithm. It's a tool, right? So it's either AI company or you as a co-creator. So this is weird. So he's saying that the one that made the tool should have the copyright.
Make a thing.
Not sure if I agree with that.
I think this. It is because there is an increasing amount of human creativity and decision making that is going into these AIs. For example, one of the main ways that you make AI smarter is with RLHF, reinforcement learning human feedback. We have human beings, tens of thousands of them, who are currently looking at data from AIs and saying, I like this, I don't like this. I like this, I don't like this. They have engineers who are going into the code of the AI and saying, we want you to act more like this. We want you to act less like this. Over on X, the Everything app, like they're trying to make their AI be a crazy edgelord dickhead.
Oh, yeah.
That's their creative direction. That is different from what the other companies are doing. So as we get farther into the creation of these AIs, I suspect that they will become increasingly a product of the creators.
But to me, it's like if you make something with Photoshop, right? Photoshop doesn't own the copyright, so if you spend hours creating something with Grok, with ChatGPT, with Anthropic's Claude, or any other AI, I think you should own it, to be honest. I think the AI companies agree with him, right? In the TOS, they state that they relinquish their copyright law. So they agree with him. I don't think I do. But it's one of the two options. I lean towards the person that used the tool, which is AI in this case,
rather than an objective, just God creature that knows what to do. The point here is that I believe there will be an increasing amount of influence that the creators of the AI have with the AI itself. At a point, if you have created this incredibly complex tool and it really reflects your beliefs and interests, at some point, I think you should retain some amount of ownership.
Yeah, with this I can agree. It should be like a collaborative collaboration, basically, right? The AI company which created the tool, and you maybe like both have the copyright, but that would be very awkward in the sense if I wanted to sell something made by ChatGPT.
Of that, rather than the guy who comes along and says, give me a picture of Doug with giant googly eyes. You know what I mean?
Please.
This is probably the most likely opinion I have to change, but in its current state, I think either nobody should own it or the AI creator should own it. That's my thought. And you can say I'm rigged and bald, but I think that's kind of legit. But there's a lot of questions to sort out before we get there. Finally, we have to figure out at what point did a human co-create it? Let's say I go to an AI, okay? And I say, make me a funny image of a dog with a bell pepper hat. And then I spend the next 6 months talking to this AI, giving it feedback, making it go farther and farther, giving detailed notes and saying, look, I really want it to go this direction. Now we should do this. Now we should do this. Like a director of a movie would do, like a creative director at any art company would do, where you really give a lot of input and you are a major part in guiding the creative process to the end. I feel like at some point, you should be a co-creator, right?
Yeah, so again, in the US, nobody gets the copyright. In EU, apparently, at least per like the Czech case, EU is leaning EU. I say EU. It was one court case. It's leaning more towards the human that prompted.
This is the same as if I hire an artist to go make me a picture of me bald.
Actually, there was a case also in China. China is very it's like if you like look at the world, right? Like there is US like leaning, I don't know, I think they are leaning like right now, whatever, but US has its own way, EU has its own way, and China obviously their own way, but it's like EU is like always in the middle. China has opinion 0 and US has opinion 1. We are like halfway through both ways. Anyway, in China, the Beijing Internet Court, faced with a similar set of facts. This is basically the regarding the Czech case, right? Well, similar set of facts in the sense that it's similar to the Czech case that we discussed before. Reached the opposite conclusion, holding that the AI-generated image can be indeed protected by the copyright law. It held that this was because the outcome of the algorithm can be influenced by the way of a prompt is drafted and refined, as well as by how the instruction parameters of the AI systems are set. It's kind of Doug's point. Therefore, resulting in the unique expression of the human author. In the case, the issue was addressed by Mr. Lee used an AI system to create an image that then posted on his personal profile on Little Red Book, a popular social media platform. Upon discovering someone used it, he wanted compensation. Okay, while the court of Beijing found that the image was the result of trial and error process aimed at achieving a reliable rendition of the user's vision. The Chinese court held that the selection and the arrangement of the different prompts, relevant parameters, reflected the claimant's aesthetic choice and personal judgment, and that therefore the use of AI is comparable to the use of any other tool. I agree with this, yes. The court concluded that since the final image is thus a reflection of the original intellectual investment of the human mind, and AI-generated image could be protected by copyright. And yeah, there was also a case in Germany. It was Keschke versus Lion. Case. The Hamburg case was brought by Mr. Keschke, professional photographer, against Lion, a private association providing a large dataset image. The point of contention is methodology employed in the creation of the dataset. The defendant created the dataset based on a pre-existing one from 2008. The Lion, basically, right? They are certain whether the provided descriptions align with the images in question. The defendant did download and temporarily store the image and then used automation to analyze them. The plaintiff sought out an injunction based on a copyright infringement to prevent future reproductions of his image, the Mr. Keschke. The defendant maintains that the reproduction during the creation of the dataset is privileged under German and European copyright law, particularly in the context of the data mining. The decision, the Hamburg court dismissed the case, ruling that reproduction of the purpose of verifying the content and its description must be distinguished from use for AI training. Reproduction for the purpose of verifying constitutes a form of text, and data mining, creating a dataset of AI training free of charge, can be considered to fall under the privileged purpose of scientific research. This was even a different case. this was basically a use of this guy's image. However, regarding a possible reservation of use from commercial TDM, the court suggested that obiter, that a disclaimer in natural language in the website's terms of service might be effective. So this is basically nobody knows what to do. Apparently, US knows because they have the law that the precedent law that if something happened, that usually everything follows suit unless like somehow the precedent is overturned. But as you can see, US has its own way, EU own way, China its own way. So it's like nobody knows what to do apparently.
And we spend a year working on it together. Should I ever get ownership of it? Should we split it? It feels strange to me that the creative director has no ownership of it. That's kind of weird to me. And again, like, just to be clear, currently, that is the standard. If I hire an artist, no matter how much I give creative feedback, they own the copyright. That is how it currently works. But that feels kind of strange to me. I think there should be a threshold, like a level
it's
at
like
which we say,
wrong.
okay, we should co-own this together.
I'm not the highest authority on copyright by no means. But that something feels wrong about that, right? Like it's not just me.
The idea that only the person who is like putting pen to paper should own anything. Say there's a team of 20 people and one of the 20 people is the one making the thing physically, but everybody is giving creative feedback. It's a whole artistic team. You're saying only the person who writes it should get ownership. That feels really weird to me.
Yeah,
like it feels like it should be shared to some degree. That does not feel fair to me. We're talking about humans sharing ownership of something. I'm not saying AI. We're saying humans should share ownership of things. So that's it. Thanks for watching. Any questions? Be sure to check out next Monday on Techno Tuesday. Anyway, I think this is so interesting, dude. This is so weird. What a weird ass fucking situation the world we're in.
I totally agree. It's like weird in the sense that nobody knows what to do. We're like entering a new territory. Feels somewhat like I don't want to say that AI is the internet of this decade or something, but it kind of feels that way. It's like, what's going on is the one big question.
Hey, questions, I'm happy to chat about it. We can talk a little bit more. So now Barry Bebop owns all of DougDoug. Actually, fun fact. So Barry Bebop is my creative director. He does a lot of work on the channel. I never actually created a contract with him that says he doesn't own the rights to all the stuff. I am an AI optimist. I think our world will be better because of AI. One of the best expressions of that I've seen is this blog post by Dario Omadai, who is the CEO.
Yeah, I want to. I have not read this. I have it open in one of my taskbars. I want to read it and review something.
Of Anthropic, one of the biggest AI companies. I would really recommend reading this. This is one of the more interesting articles and arguments that I have read that is basically saying, look, AI is going to have an incredibly positive impact. But he's also a realist and is like, AI is going to really potentially fuck up our world. He's notable and he's a little more trustworthy because his company, Anthropic, has put way more effort into safety. Way more effort into making sure that like there are really high standards for safety and that there isn't going to be danger with what these AIs are doing. So I really like Dario, and I've listened to a bunch of the stuff he said. Whereas some of the other AI, like Sam Altman, who runs OpenAI, you don't know what the fuck he's thinking. I really like
Sam when in like some court hearing. One of the senators asked him about like remuneration, money, basically, right? And he says that he's not doing it for the money. He doesn't like. I think he said something along the lines he doesn't own like a big stake in OpenAI, and he doesn't do it for the money. Doesn't have money or something like this. And like a few months later, basically, they like record him in some supercar, right? It's kind of hilarious, like how hypocritical he is. But anyway, ending on this note, I also think that in general the AI will be a positive change for the world. It will transform it definitely. If we have something or someone, some company at the helm, or basically also countries coming together and regulating AI and making sure that we put some foresight into it and like think about the problems they might generate and streamline the law, streamline the regulations. We will come out on top using AI and those tools. I think they are powerful. They are extremely interesting. How they work, what they do, how they can help us. There are downsides, but it's the upsides are far too great. We just need to be careful to not fall into some pitfalls along the way. Okay, that was long. Okay, that was it. Thank you for watching. Thanks, Doug. Check out Doug on Twitch, on YouTube. He's hilarious. He's amazing. And yeah, that's about it. See you in the next one. Peace.